Why is this a thing? What's up, nerds? It's your boy, the OG GM, coming to you live from a small island off the coast of Costa Rica called Site B. It is April 25th, 2023. It's about 9:30 in the morning, and it is foggy and gloomy once again here in sunny Southern California. And we have this story from the never-ending fountain of logic and good choices that is Wizards of the Coast. We have the Magic the Gathering sent Pinkertons to this one guy's house to take his stuff. Now, again, let me just preface, I wasn't there. We don't know the whole story. Wizards of the Coast is being very Wizards of the Coast about this. I do not know what legal right, if any, Wizards of the Coast had to do what they did. I am not a lawyer. I'm only going by what I'm reading and my limited knowledge of how these things should work. And my limited knowledge, well, my somewhat not limited knowledge of how corporate thinking works and big business works and Wizards of the Coast works. And let me just say again, you know, there was some, oh, that didn't really happen. And, you know, if there's any other company, like I said this yesterday, if there's any other company that had done that was associated with this story, like, I don't know, Disney, Mattel, Honda, Oscar Mayer, Universal Studios, probably the closest equivalent we would know of is somebody showing a movie before you're supposed to. We'd probably be like, yeah, that didn't happen. There were so many other things they could have done if they really wanted to go after this guy. But remember, in this case, we're talking about Wizards of the Coast. And let's face it, Wizards of the Coast decision-making lately has not been very good. It appears Wizards of the Coast is being run by an emotionally unstable 8-year-old who just does things and says things without thinking of the consequences. So we will compare this situation to a situation probably most of us understand, movie leaks. Okay, so let's put it in frame. This guy, Old School MTG, has a history of opening packs online. He's done this for a while. This is not new. People have been doing this as long as Magic cards have been available, as long as there's been a way to show other people your cards, whether it's, you know, taking pictures and posting them, writing them down and posting Excel sheets, all the way up as the internet has progressed to doing YouTube videos of unboxing. So spoiling Magic cards, not a new thing. Doesn't cost Wizards of the Coast a dime. In fact, you would think Wizards of the Coast would want people to do this because it builds up excitement. So much so that Wizards of the Coast has been known to leak their own cards. And there are hundreds of sites worldwide who get their hands on cards ahead of time, often from Wizards of the Coast, and then show them and then estimate what the cards will be worth. Does this cost Wizards of the Coast anything to do this? No. Does Wizards of the Coast lose any money by this guy showing the cards ahead of time? Absolutely not. If anything, again, it would have been free press. And Wizards of the Coast should have been grateful that this guy was building up excitement for a forthcoming run, especially considering how people are looking at Wizards of the Coast right now and the way they are handling Dungeons & Dragons, the way they are handling Magic the Gathering, the way they're handling Power Rangers, Transformers, and G.I. Joe. And people are just like, dude, Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast, stop. You need a success, okay? You need a home run. You need a good thing. Magic the Gathering people are angry at you. D&D people are angry at you. The toy people are angry at you. Hasbro, the G.I. Joe Transformers people are angry at you. You didn't need another media disaster. So this guy who has a long history of doing this, one of several hundred who does this. There's hundreds of magazines and sites online that do it. Wizards of the Coast spoils their own stuff. So the precedence is there. He buys stuff, opens boxes, shows them online. And the latest run, which is called March of the Machines, I guess it's a Phyrexian or artifact-based one. I don't know. I stopped playing Magic a long time ago when they stopped running out of original ideas. And he was opening up the new set. And I guess in the boxes of March of the Machine new set, he accidentally he claims got some of the short-run March of the Machines Aftermath set. So this was like a subset built into the set, an expansion to the set. It was called March of the Machines Aftermath. All right. So he had all the normal March of the Machines cards, and then he had some of these other cards that he paid for, has a receipt, opening, has a history of opening. Wizards of the Coast, Big Brother, somehow, of the hundreds of thousands of people who do this, saw this, and they saw that he was showing cards from a set that technically was not out yet. He was breaking street date, which something he had paid for legally from a store and was spoiling. So the store made money, and then Wizards of the Coast made money because they sent the guy at the store the box. And apparently now Wizards of the Coast is complaining that there's a hole in shipping, that those things should not have been in the same box with March of the Machines because they were not due to be seen until March later on in May. I know, of course, having worked at a game store for several years, that is technically maybe not true, because I have opened boxes from Wizards of the Coast and seen Magic cards, and then also seen promos and stuff for the next thing, even though it's not supposed to be street dated for another 2 weeks. So yeah, Wizards of the Coast, how did 22 boxes of the future site accidentally get into the box of the stuff that was, we don't know. Shipping mistakes? That's why Wizards of the Coast is claiming they did what they did to fix the hole. So he shows the things. Wizards of the Coast, well, let's see. Did he violate Wizards of the Coast copyright? No. Because he paid for it. He's not trying to make any money off of it. He's trying to build up excitement for the set. He is not claiming he made this. He is not claiming he's trying to make money off of this. He is not claiming, saying, yes, I made this. So is he violating Wizards of the Coast copyright by showing them ahead of time? I don't think so. And from everything I'm reading, no, because he's not taking any credit for it. How does this compose to, say, somebody who has illegally gotten their hands on a movie and is showing it on a YouTube channel? Like, you know, and somebody is watching that. Is it the same? Are you violating copyright? Well, you know, if I go into a movie theater and pay to see the movie, and then I record it on my camera, and then I put it up onto a site so other people can see the movie, am I technically breaking the law and violating copyright? Again, sort of, yes, no, maybe, who knows, we're not sure. Now, on one hand, this guy showing the cards doesn't cost Wizards of the Coast anything, and they're not losing money because all this guy's showing the cards. He's not giving you the cards. He is encouraging you to go buy the cards because you will see a meta in the cards that will allow you to make new Magic decks to play more successful Magic. So if anything, he was giving Wizards of the Coast free advertising. He was promoting excitement for the new set in a time where Wizards of the Coast needs all the goodwill they can get, as opposed to me sneaking in and recording a movie and then showing the movie on YouTube. Well, everybody who watches that movie is not going to go see that movie in the theater. So that's money out of the theater's pocket, and that's money out of the studio's pocket. And they depend upon that money from the theaters and from the studios. So torrenting a movie costs the studio's money, costs the theater's money, costs everybody money. They lose out. This guy showing stuff that he paid for doesn't cost Wizards of the Coast any money. In fact, it makes them money because now people want to go get the cards. If I watch the movie and that I've torrented, I don't need to pay money to see it in the theaters. So you lost money. If I see this guy show the cards on YouTube, I want to go maybe buy those cards. You made money. So win for Wizards of the Coast. If they were really upset about the guy, there were things they could have done. Did he steal the product? Absolutely not. He paid for it legally. It was sold to him legally by a licensed retailer. This is a common practice that has been done as long as Magic is around, that Wizards of the Coast has encouraged up till now. Got home, opened the packs. On the exterior of the packs, the boxes look similar enough that until he actually opened the boxes and saw the boosters, was he able to tell that, oh, this is actually the different set, because the Marcher Machines and the Marcher Machines Aftermath boxes, according to this guy, look exactly the same. And it wasn't until he opened those boxes that he saw, oh, wait, these are different. But they were in my box, so I guess I can show them. He didn't know, or at least he claims he didn't know. So he wasn't stealing anything. He wasn't violating Wizards of the Coast copyright. The only thing he could be guilty of is breaking street date, which is a civil case, not a federal case. And there's things studios can do about that. YouTube was, you know, running his program, running his things. So if Wizards of the Coast Big Brother was watching this and saw that this guy was doing this, they could have said, YouTube, take this guy's videos down. He's violating our copyright. And then they could have filed a cease and desist against the guy. All right. So you send a lawyer and you let him know this is what's happening. If you continue to do this, we could sue you. Blah, blah, blah. Typical, normal, everyday practices. You don't threaten the guy's life. Now, let's say Wizards of the Coast is saying he stole the stuff, which they're not. Well, if you think the guy stole your stuff and you have video proof that the guy stole your stuff, you call the police and you get a warrant. So that way the stuff can be legally removed from the gentleman's house. The gentleman will then receive a receipt and receive the proper paper trail to follow if he wishes to file a countersuit or for the forthcoming court case of Wizards of the Coast versus Old School MTG. That's not what Wizards of the Coast did. Instead, Wizards of the Coast called Pinkerton Detectives, a strong-arm detective agency who may or may not even exist anymore, to go over to the guy's house, basically pound on his door, demand that they be let in, and then demand that he gives him the stuff. Did they have a warrant? Nope. Did they have any reason to enter his house? Nope. Was it stupid of him to let them in his house? Probably. But let's look at from this guy's point of view. He's got a wife. He's got kids. He's got a house. Look at the history of whatever's going on in the world right now. People are getting shot for showing up at the wrong, for turning around in the wrong driveway, for God's sakes. This guy felt probably in a position where if he didn't do what they said, he didn't know what these guys might do to him, because they weren't officers of the law. They are basically hired mercenaries, hired thugs. They could have, you know, gone into his house and done something horrible. We don't know. I mean, what's every worst imagining scenario you can think of when a bunch of, you know, big men or ladies or whatever who might have guns show up at your front door demanding that you let them in and give you stuff. He should have let them in. And he did let them in. And he did let them take the stuff. And he claims Wizards of the Coast has been very nice about it. In fact, in the most recent article, he says that we're not sure about this, that Wizards might be is Wizards of the Coast going to compensate him? The presenter in this instance said in the video that the person they spoke to with Wizards seemed to understand they were not at fault. In fact, they were eager to compensate the YouTuber for the purchase of the cards, potentially in the form of more appropriate replacement products. So that is what we're being told. We have asked the guy what Wizards of the Coast has done, and he hasn't responded. So Wizards of the Coast, or at least the article is claiming that Wizards of the Coast is going to compensate the guy, which they should, because they are looking at a huge, huge, huge liar. Yeah, so he has a huge possible legal access. He's still publishing stuff, though, for, you know, his love of Magic the Gathering. So despite that, you know, what happened, in fact, his viewership has doubled because of the recent event. So yeah, dude, more power to you. If these guys are funneling money into your pocket, take advantage of the horrible advantage situation. I wouldn't give Wizards of the Coast any free press anymore. But if this guy's got, you know, 3.65 subscribers invested in this, sure, and then also sue them. Sue the frick out of them. I'm no lawyer, but I think the homeowner has a valid robbery claim because he purchased them. And these guys came in and took it. They could defend. Well, you said it was okay. You let us in your house. You said we could take it. Did they give him a receipt? Doesn't sound like it. Did they give him their names? Doesn't sound like it. Did they have a warrant? No. This is known as illegal search and seizure. Can he do something in response? Yes. Was he right to let them in? People are saying no. People are like, oh, if he showed up at my door. And I'm like, dude, you don't know. You don't know how many of them were. It's the Pinkerton, so you got to assume they had guns. And let's just look at the environment right now. You know, some kid pulls up in the wrong driveway looking for a friend, and he got shot. 5 strange people show up at my front door. My wife is there, yes, and they're like, okay. Now, should she have called the cops? Absolutely. Did she feel intimidated and didn't know what to do? You know, it's like, should I just let these guys have the things and hopefully they go away? Yeah, she was probably intimidated, fight or flight. You know, you don't know. It's hard to say, well, I would have done X. I would have, you know, if I was rationally thinking, I don't know what I would have done if these guys showed up at my front door. Would I panic and let them in? Would I call the cops? Would I run away? I don't know. I would, you know, I would think that I would do the rational thing and say, you know what, I need to see a warrant, or I'm not letting you in. And if you try and intimidate your way in, I'm going to call the cops. But, you know, we don't know what these guys would have done. Would they have kicked open the door? Would they have escalated the situation? Was it just easier to let them have what they wanted? I don't know. We don't know the full story. And Wizards of the Coast is waffling. First, Wizards of the Coast said, no, we have no comment. And then they got another guy out, and he was like, oh, yeah, we totally did this. It was all part of the investigation. We were totally in the right. And again, I'm no lawyer, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm going to tell you just simply from my basic understanding of how the industry works, there are many situations that Wizards of the Coast could legally have taken if they truly wished to pursue action against old school MTG. Several legal avenues that would not have ever been discovered by us, probably, unless this guy talked about it, and wouldn't have got them in any trouble and would not have in any way, shape, or form affected their relationship with the public. If you think their stuff is stolen, call the cops. Get a warrant. Follow the chain of evidence. Have the cops proceed in the proper way to retrieve the evidence. So Wizards of the Coast, you are not left holding the bag. If the guy's violating your copyright, but not cease and desist. Call YouTube. Say, take down these videos. They're violating our copyright. Sue the guy. Wizards of the Coast, sue the guy in court. Take him to court and say, you did this. Blah, we lost money, except no, you didn't. See, if we're comparing this to, you know, showing screeners to this, which is, I guess, the closest thing most of us would understand. Again, if I go into a movie theater, record a movie, and then show that movie on YouTube, that's costing the theater money and it's costing the studio money, because now you've watched the movie, you have no reasoning to go to the studio or the theater and watch it, because you just got to see it for free. So that's money out of the pocket of the theater. At least that's how the theater and how the studios think. As opposed to Wizards, where you showed their cards. Something, by the way, Wizards of the Coast does, and something that has been done hundreds of times throughout the history of Wizards of the Coast, Magic the Gathering, going all the way back to the very first days of Magic the Gathering, where people were taking pictures of the cards and posting them on their Facebook and their what is it called? AOL, AWOL, you know, the thing. America Online, remember that? You know, so people were spoiling Magic cards back then, violating street date. The difference is this guy paid for them. So you made your money off of him, and he is giving them free advertisement to encourage people to spend more money. So you should have just left it alone and appreciated the goodwill. But no, Wizards of the Coast, of the multiple legal options you could have taken, you chose the most stupid. Let's send some hired thugs over to his house. That'll make us look good. Yes, Wizards of the Coast, another win for us. Leaked scripts. Yeah, I know. I'm talking about leaked movies, dude, not leaked scripts. But we will have more on this, I'm sure, as the story progresses. We're still waiting for a final say from Wizards of the Coast, which might not be for another 3 weeks to a month because it's Wizards of the Coast. We're waiting to hear more from Old Man School Magic, who apparently is still doing videos, at least on the stuff he currently has. Whether he'll continue after this, I don't know. But if this is his, thing and he's made money off of this, then God love him. But dude, I'm not a lawyer, but I encourage you to speak to one. And that's it. We just felt we needed to follow this story more. And I am sure someone out there is saying what Wizards of the Coast did was correct. I am sure there's probably 1 or 2 idiots out there who are going, yeah, this was totally what Wizards of the Coast was in the right. No, they were not. There were several things Wizards of the Coast could have done. This was not right. You had no legal power to hire thugs to go over to the guy's house. You call the police or you call a lawyer. So yeah, you can't defend this one, guys. I'm sorry. In the annals of, well, it was a good idea on paper. No, this was not a good idea. This does not do anything to continue goodwill towards Wizards of the Coast. So yeah, don't give them any more money because they're just being run by an emotionally immature 8-year-old, I guess. That's it. If you appreciate this content, let me know. If you don't appreciate this content, let me know. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, please subscribe. Help me reach 2,000 subs. And of course, because of this, I have to assure you that should you head on over to Big Geek Emporium, my only sponsor, and buy my merch from Big Geek Emporium, the OG GM Adventures present Minions on a Mission, issue number 1 through 11. Issue 11, just fresh off the presses, available at Big Geek Emporium for only $2. 10 pages of brand new Minion-centric equipment. If you purchase that, Mar Hockman, and if you do a review of it, DM Kurt, on your YouTube channel, I will not call the Pinkertons. I assure you, I will say nothing but thank you for the free press. That's it. Buy my merch. I'll talk to you later. Why would you do this, Wizards of the Coast? Why? And if anybody who's defending them for doing this, you're just an idiot. I'm sorry, but you